Hi everyone, today we're going to do a winter landscape together. How we are going to start is I'm going to look at this inspirational picture as a reference, and we're going to divide our paper up. You can make a border around it however you want to make it. I actually did a 10-inch piece of paper. I can do a quick line in the center and divide it in half at the 5-inch mark. So however you want to do this, and I usually, to be honest, I divide my paper in half by eye, so it doesn't really matter, but I do want to use the paper vertically like this, and then we can separate in half once more. I just have my ruler. Again, you can just separate it by eye. Landscapes don't have to be exactly, because it's how you take the picture at that one moment in time. They're going to be different. Okay, so I just want to put a little mark on my halfway marks and my quarter marks. So basically I just kind of go halfway in between my halfway marks, like that. All right, and now I'm going to divide in half vertically. And what I do like to do is I'll have an inspirational picture up on my computer, and I click on my picture and you can see how it's divided in half. If you click on your picture, you'll have little squares on your halfway marks, so you can kind of see pretty easy what you're going to do. All right, first thing I'm going to do is decide where my foreground is and what's in my foreground. So anything that's below my halfway mark. And I want to establish in this picture where I see the vanishing point. And my vanishing point is over to the left a little bit and below, in between the quarter and halfway mark. So I'm going to go below and in between the quarter and halfway mark and make a little mark like that. Now I will establish, there's a road here and there are kind of like fence posts. I'm going to take where I see the first fence post, and it goes up to about the quarter mark from down here. So I'm going to start that one just to mark something down first. You always want to mark, you have to mark something down in order to measure against what you have, what you're going to draw next. All right, and I do see like this one that's really out of line kind of, and it kind of goes to the side like this, and I do like that in these kind of wintry cozy pictures or any kind of landscape actually, because things aren't perfect, and these are definitely not perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to mark a few of those just lightly with my pencil. And then I'm going to go back to my vanishing point, basically. So it actually doesn't go to the end of this line. It's going to go over here just slightly. And I'm going to make a little line like this. Okay, and I'm doing that because it makes it a lot easier for me to say these all line up basically now. The ends of them are going to line up on that line, and they get smaller and smaller as they go back. And again, some of these are not completely straight up and down. Normally, if your fence is done the way like fences should be done, those lines, these lines, the posts will be straight up and down, parallel to each other. Okay, so I want to get a little closer as they go back in the distance. There we go. Okay, and they almost start to like kind of pile up on each other a little bit like that. All right, now the other side of the road is going back into that vanishing point, starts up on my quarter mark. So I'm going to draw this land that I can see, and it comes out and rounds out over in this area. And it goes uphill, and I see it right underneath my halfway mark. So this is where I have this area of land. Slopes down into the road. Okay, you can put it right under or right at the halfway mark. Okay, and remember this line really isn't there, so that one's got to be very lightly drawn. And now I can put some of the fencing that's over here. And I see that the fencing starts up a little bit higher on this area that I just drew. So we're going to make a couple little post marks. And these are kind of far away. And then they start to kind of round out. They go down to the bottom of the road and they're going to round out like this. Okay, so I can kind of make that. And then I'm going to follow that line. These fence posts are pretty straight up and down, and like I said, then they kind of look like they're on top of each other, because you can't see them anymore because they're in a straight line. Okay, so these are my fence posts here. All right, I do see in between here what looks to be like a lamp post. So I'm going to draw that pretty tall. And let's put a little lamp post on it. Okay. And there is going to be another one over here. So let's put where we're seeing that nice big tree next. So the tree, instead of drawing what I see is like a tree with leaves, I'm going to draw an evergreen tree, so we can change anything that we want, although we want to know where it comes up to. So at this quarter mark up here, we want to make sure that it's, and I'm going to draw it just over slightly. We want to make sure that it starts there and it ends all the way down here. This is what you really have to pay attention to, are these things that are big and small. So things in the foreground are going to be much bigger, and things in the background are going to be much smaller. So let's just draw this big evergreen tree that goes right down into the land here behind the fence. And just do a little sketchy tree. Okay, so I'm going to stop that somewhere right around here. And I will draw another one behind it. So I'm going to just go up a little further than halfway. And I'll put another little tree there. So some of this I'm kind of making as I go. And some of it I'm drawing from the picture directly. All right, we'll fix those trees later. We just have to establish some of the land and the area. Okay, there is a break in the land that goes right under where we put our mark for our vanishing point. So we're going to come out under the tree over here, and it's almost at the end of where we put our posts for our fence. And we're going to go back and end up underneath our halfway mark on this side. Okay, and remember, you don't want these lines to be too dark, so just be careful with your pencil. All right, now I've got another post. It looks like another lamp post, and we're gonna go right here with this one. And let's go up about the same length, so it's kind of up to the halfway mark. So we're gonna make our little lamp post. Okay, make sure that that's nice and straight. All right, now we have little houses tucked behind here. Let's find the peak of our house. So if you go over from your land, you go over a little bit, and you go about where the halfway mark is here, you're gonna get the peak of the roof. And then let's go down with the peak of the roof. And we're going to tuck this right behind the other side. All right, and then this is going to come down. Actually, it's just going to come back. And these trees are going to cover. So I'm going to draw another tree here just because mine are not covering this part of the house and I want it to cover. I want some of these trees to actually cover some of the house. I want it to be tucked right back there. Okay. There we go. Making it a little taller, so I kind of made my peak a little more peaked. There we go. Okay. Tuck that roof right behind those trees, and then we're going to give a straight line down, so parallel line down. And how about we put those windows in? So we're just going to put a window up here that I see, and let's put something over here. We need a little something over there. Some branches in the way. You want it to be tucked behind. Okay, there we go. In front of this is not actually, there's some land that's in front of the house, and this is kind of curving around. So we can kind of curve this area here, right down into there. And we do have some little shrubs that are in the way. And I can't see exactly what's going on. I do think that there's a little bit of fencing over here. That's what it kind of looks like. So I'm just going to put a little bit of that. So we got that house that's tucked behind there. Now let's do the other side. There's another peaked roof right next to this lamppost. So it is almost below the halfway mark on this side. So let's go here and let's do this pitched roof. And I want it to go behind these trees. So if your tree is not big enough, make your tree big enough to kind of like tuck that roof behind it. And then this roof is much longer on this side. There we go. And we're gonna have the roof go right down to the edge of the paper. So this is going right back with it. And let's go right off the paper. I have some shrubs that are in the front here, so let's put some shrubbery. Get this roof really nice underneath that. Okay. So remember, right now you're still using your lighter pencil. We'll get into using a 6B pencil to get some of that shade in there so things stand out a little bit more. Okay, and I see some chimneys. Let's draw a couple chimneys because I see two on this. Might as well do two. So let's do a chimney, and your angle on the bottom of this is going to go down like that. There's one, and I see another one back here. There we go. Erase that line in between. All right, now we got a couple little doors and windows, but there is a little lop of snow that kind of covers up a lot of this. So you want to have these shrubs kind of come in front of just a little bit of the house there. We've got lamppost and we've got a little hill. It's kind of like a lap of land. Lots of snow kind of piled up maybe right there. So let's do our door. And I do see a window over here. We can do that window. Okay, there we go. And I do actually see some, there are some windows over here. We can do a couple of those. And all that land is kind of piled up, so it's just really quick little marks. Okay, I don't think we have to do really anything on that side over there. So let's leave that. All right, So we have a few things established. We've got the foreground, we've got the middle ground. Let's do a little bit more in the middle ground as far as trees. And I do see a nice big tree back here. And we're gonna do this one fairly light. So it's another evergreen tree. So just go ahead and put your branches. Make this one fairly light. And you could even do this, I would say just do it with your regular pencil or an HB pencil, something a little lighter. And let's do a few more of these so we can get these kind of little tips of these tops of these evergreen trees, and then we're going to put some trees in front. And these, like I said, do these very lightly because we're going to put some trees in front of these, and you'll see how they kind of stack up and look like they're in the distance a little bit more. Okay, couple of tree tops here. One over here. And then I'm going to do some trees that don't have leaves on them, that are just like normal trees, but they could have snow. So just put some of these little lines and fill in some of this space. And you do want to make sure that some of them are visible. You know, some of those lone branches are visible. But these houses are really kind of tucked in there with all those trees around it. So we can do a couple of those trees in front. I think I want to do an evergreen right here. And now I'm going to make this one a little darker as I come down. So if you want snow on it, we're going to have to go back. We can erase a little bit, or you can kind of like lop a little snow on it once we're done with putting all these things in there so that we can kind of see the depth and the distance. You got to build up the depth and the distance. Okay, I'm going to put another one of those trees that just has like lots of limbs. Get them going every which way. And maybe I'll do another evergreen in front. And one with limbs back here in front. A little bit. There we go. So you see how I'm putting it a little darker when I put them in front. Alright, so those are really behind the hill. Let's do another tree without any branches back here. And get your tree to kind of come out in different ways. Remember, you want to have some branches go different ways. Overlap them. Keep it behind this one because this is your evergreen that's right up front. That's really in the front. Okay. Now I've got over here, I've got some like shrubs. Let's put some shrubs. Okay, and it's just like these little flicks with your pencil, little flicks. Okay, and you know, I've got a couple kind of back here that I can see. All right, we'll kind of fix other things. We are going to go in the background and let's do some very small little trees. So I see that they're kind of on the hill in the background. I'm just going to do a little line and then kind of bring down almost the shape of a triangle. That's all. But it's rough. It's kind of just a rough little sketchy triangular shape that will resemble a tree. And making that area just a little bit darker. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of the land. So think about going horizontal back and forth and just kind of sloping it just a little bit to make the land look like it's sloping. Okay, darken up this just a little. And then let's get those mountains in. So the mountain up here is a little above that quarter mark, and I'm going to come down, and it doesn't go to the halfway mark quite. So you're going downhill, and then this other mountain is going to come down here, and this is going to be pretty dark in this area. And let's go show ourselves like where we're going to tip that point to the mountain. So, you know, it doesn't have to be this really slopey straight line. It can be a line that kind of curves just slightly a little bit. And then it's going to come down. We have another little sort of peak right there. Okay, and that's going to come down right to before that quarter mark. And then we're going to do another little area that comes behind this tree here. And really, we're not going to see much behind here. So we have to I think I'm going to put another tree to kind of camouflage this a little bit. Here we go. So this actually tucks right behind there. And we're going to see some areas that are a little bit darker right here on the mountain. So you're sort of shading that side area in. Watch your hand on all of this. You might want to put a piece of paper there. Okay, we're going to shade that in. And this is all trees. So what I would like to do is take my blending stump, and I'm going to do a few of these little lines straight up and down where these are trees. And all of this edge is going to be a little bit darker. So my trees kind of come in this area, and they're going to come down. Look at the shapes when you're doing landscape. Look at the shapes of the space that looks like it's darker, or that has some trees in it, or whatever whatever it's doing. So right in this area, I can kind of see that's a little darker. So I'm going to shade there. I'm going to shade in here. Any of that darkness that I'm seeing, and I can cross hatch. I can go up and down and then cross over. Okay, and then I've got this one, and it goes behind the trees, and we will enhance these trees. We'll pop them out. I've got this area right here, and that's all going to be shaded. Okay, so we are just about finished with that part of the landscape, and we are going to, we should probably put this road in here. So let's get the top of that road, and we're going to bring it right down off the page here and have this be the road. Okay, now we will go in with our B pencil and start to really enhance this. See you next time.